All right, welcome to the North Idaho Experience Podcast for the people of North Idaho and those who are North Idaho curious. Special guest today, William Kirk from Washington Gun Law. We are looking forward to this conversation. He's going to drop some incredible knowledge on us about what's going on in Washington regarding gun laws. That is his specialty. Hey, guys, if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our real estate team, North Idaho Experience, we specialize in helping conservative families find their freedom right here in North Idaho. Welcome to the show, William Kirk, Washington Gun Law.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, second time.
It is, yeah. First time was, in the dumpster office that we had, so we've come a long way. Now we've got a dedicated room, and it's good to have you back.
You got a nice setup.
Yeah, it's nice to have you in Idaho briefly too.
It's nice to be here.
Maybe permanently?
Well, we are going later today to North Idaho Arms, where we will be recording several videos for our channel at our new North Idaho studios there at North Idaho Arms. So, you got to start getting your fingers in somewhere.
Yes.
Convince Mrs. Gun Law that it's the right move.
Yeah, BZ shot me a text this morning, and he's like, what was it? It was like, get him, seal the deal is what he said.
Yeah,
I was like, I know exactly what you mean. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Well, and in all fairness, man, the last time you were on the show, I wasn't on that one. I'm still active at PD then, but a lot's happened since then.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit to break down.
The ever-changing world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it just seems like when the rest of the country seems to be moving back towards a little bit of neutrality, Washington is just bucking it, and they're just doubling down.
Yeah.
Giving them the old one-finger salute. And it's like, okay.
No, it's really scary. It's very sad in many ways, too.
Yeah. Have you always lived there?
Yeah. No, my family goes back to the state of Washington in 1883.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so every Kirk that's ever lived in the United States, is buried in Washington State.
Wow.
All of us. Homesteads out of Elmira, Washington, just not far from where the Grand Coulee Dam is. First two generations were farmers. Third generation was a pharmacist. Fourth generation was my dad, who was a realtor.
Wow.
Fifth generation was this guy here. And my sixth generation, I got one at home still, and I got one down at Washington State University. He'll be the fourth generation to graduate from Washington State University. So I'm about as Washington as you can get.
Go
so
Cougs.
safe to say you've got some history there.
I got history. And so when people ask me, why are you still there?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, well, where am I supposed to go?
Right.
You're so connected to an area of the country, not just, emotionally and personally, but historically, and it's, do I want to wave that white flag? There's part of that. Do I really want to just give in and quit and walk away?
Right.
And I'll tell you what changes it is having the kid still in public school, because what my threshold of pain might be is altered by what I'm willing to accept on his behalf as well.
Right, because it's not just you.
No, because people hear around the country about the crazy stuff we do with our gun laws, but I don't talk about what we're doing with our taxation. I don't talk about what we're doing with the transgender ideology and how it's being shoved into the school systems there. I don't talk about the defunding of the police department. I don't talk about the crazy spending, any of that stuff. But that's the problem when you live in a really blue state. I talk about what happens to your gun laws, but there's so much more that goes on beyond that are in many ways as if not more important and really affects the quality of your life.
We've been diving into that quite a bit. I grew up in Spokane. My mom was a cop. She was a detective in Spokane. Mine doesn't go near that far back. They moved there. They selected Spokane out of a number of places to raise their kids.
And I bet it was a great place to grow up.
It was South Hill, right by Manitou Park. It was
dynamite neighborhood.
It was great, and so I'd been there. That was early '80s when they moved there, and it's just changed so much. And even in the last 10 years, we've broken it down where we talk about violent crime rates. We'd break down Part 1 crimes, so it's robberies, burglaries, aggravated assaults, homicides, rapes, all that stuff. In 2013, they were ranked 30th out of 50, and in 2023, they're ranked number 3.
Yeah,
Washington State.
Yeah.
It's not Illinois. It's not California. It's not New York. It's Washington.
And it really goes to show what happens when you have that rapid movement to the extreme left, what comes with it.
Yep.
Because you track Washington. The Washington I always grew up in was a baby blue state. It was baby blue, a little quirky, a little more liberal, but whenever you're worried about just your taxes being a little too high.
It was more hipster than anything.
Yeah, it was more of a hipster thing. And I think we had this, there's this sign when you pull into Aberdeen, Washington. It's a lyric from a Nirvana song. It says, "Come as you are." Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the attitude we had in Washington, is you can kind of come there and be whoever you wanted. It was going to be a little quirky liberal, but we're going to leave everybody alone. And it's not like that anymore. Now people who see the world the way the three of us see the world, we're not welcome there.
Yeah.
They don't want us there. And they write policies and laws that I believe are in part and parcel designed to drive us out of there. And it's working.
It is.
Yeah. What do you say to the people, and you touched on this a little bit ago, that because you talked about waving the white flag, that because we hear it over here, like, hey, fix your own state. Don't come somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Is it possible?
No.
That's my feeling on it too.
No. It's not possible because of the economics of how the state of Washington works. So after the election, and we talked about this, like, the whole country kind of had this shift to the right, except for two states, Washington and Maine. And, of course, everyone in Washington's freaking out, what's wrong with our state, And so I went back and I took a look, going all the way back to 1996. I'd taken a look at all the gubernatorial races, because I think that's a really good bellwether for where you are in a statewide race. And you could just see this slow margin from 25,000 votes to 500,000 votes now. We're 500,000 votes short. Well, what happened in that time? The tech industry blew up. Okay? And Washington is a tech industry-driven state now. And what does the tech industry bring to your community? Not people who see the world in our way. Okay?
No.
And so like what you guys are focusing on here in Idaho, you're growing like crazy.
Yep.
And you're going to see a lot of new industry come in here. And let me tell you something about tech industry, okay? It is tempting to this is awesome because there are high-paying jobs and affluent people that come into your community. But with that, you have a lot of people that originate out of the Bay Area, and you have a cultural phenomena within the tech industry that many individuals come from former Commonwealth countries, which means that they have a view of government that is quite opposite to how most Americans see government. They grew up in a country where we all worked for the Commonwealth of the country, right? And so we call them limousine or latte liberals, right? That's what we call them. And Seattle and King County is full of it. And so I remember back in the 80s when Seattle first started blowing up, and we were like, this is awesome. Because, there's all this new money and this new infrastructure and all this new stuff, and we're getting attention. And you didn't realize that what we were moving in, though, was this cancerous element of extreme progressivism, almost socialism. And it just, all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, they're doing what? They're passing what? And then it infiltrates all the way into your city councils. A city council can screw something up faster than a state legislature can.
Yeah.
Case in point, Seattle and Portland. Okay, I don't know how many of you guys ever got to spend time in Portland, Oregon back in the 80s and the 90s.
Oh, late 90s, it was awesome.
It was
Portland
one of the best cities in America.
It was a blast.
Right?
That big sign says "Keep Portland Weird." Again, it was kind of like a hipster.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But that was the type of liberalism that we were dealing with in the Pacific Northwest, right? And they weren't trying to force their ideas upon everyone else. That's to me the big significant shift is now there's this, you shall assimilate to our belief. And that's, to me, I can't get my head around that. And that's the biggest problem, I think, with the modern progressive movement we're seeing out there.
They don't tolerate civil discourse. There's no more of that. There's no room for anybody else.
No, the Party of Tolerance is the most intolerant political movement I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The libertarian in me is like, just, you
Come
want,
as you are.
You want, yes. I don't care how you identify. I
You
don't
do
care.
you.
Exactly.
Yes. Right? I do me.
Right? But it almost seems like, man, you can't be that way anymore because they're not playing by those rules.
No.
And then what happens?
No.
Washington happens.
Yeah, Washington happens. And you're seeing it in Oregon. You're seeing it in New Mexico now.
Which is strange. Right? We expect it in California.
Yes.
That's been
Well,
going on for a
California's
long time, right?
Colorado.
Yes. We have multiple clients
Colorado.
coming from Colorado.
Why is that?
Yeah.
It's funny you bring both those up because we talk about crime rate. Washington is number 3. Who do you think the top 2 are? New Mexico and Colorado. Again, that's not these states that you
counters how we grew up, right?
Because Colorado, what did we think of Colorado growing up? It was beautiful,
rugged,
mountains,
rugged,
Yeah.
safe, clean community.
Yep.
kind of, again, that more laissez-faire type, just come to Colorado, be who you're going to be. We tolerate everything here.
Outdoorsy, kind of hippie, but cool.
The granola folks and all that, which is great.
Yep.
You got a lot of that here in this community as well. Because when it's that beautiful, who wants to stay inside?
Right.
Sandpoint reminds me of the 90s Portland. When I go to Sandpoint, it reminds me of that. Like, it's a little bit hipster and unique and a little bit different.
Which is what scares people.
It does.
Because we've all seen how it goes. But I like towns like that. I like the uniqueness. It brings cool food. It brings cool coffee shops, all the cool stuff. But then you see the road it goes down. It's like inevitable.
Yeah, but that's only if the state allows it.
I think though, here's the thing. You got to be careful about the industry that you're bringing into the area. Because the number of people who will migrate here is going to be dictated by the types of industry you're bringing in. Right?
Yep.
So if you're bringing more industries in that can still be good, high-paying jobs, but have a tendency to bring people with more conservative viewpoints, that's what you should be looking for. I know you guys are doing a lot of residential work and things like that, but there's a lot of businesses coming into Idaho. It's a smart move.
Interesting.
What kind of businesses, right? Because if all of a sudden you got a software development company here, big, huge, so hey, there's going to be a lot of cool paying jobs. There's also going to be a lot of very blue voters that are coming in.
I had not thought about that at all. But when you think about like a Google or, any of the other social media platforms, a Meta or something like that, I hadn't thought about that.
No, that would be bad for us here.
Yeah, that would just bring in a whole bunch.
But here's the thing. It would be sold to your community quite the opposite. This is an amazing opportunity. We got all these high paying jobs coming in, and for the businesses that would rely, the smaller, your bars, your restaurants, your barber shops, all that stuff that would benefit from having those jobs
service
in
industry
jobs. Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, we love it, but you've got to think about what the elements that come with it, because and you and I have talked about this for a while. Idaho's going to grow. Secret's out. You're going to grow.
Ain't stopping it.
You're not unringing that bell.
How are you going to grow?
Yeah.
Which direction are you going to grow? That's the thing that you guys can try to influence and dictate, and everyone in the state can do that. You're going to grow. How are you going to do it?
And that's going to require buy-in from city councils, because we don't really control. We control who calls us to move here. And I mean, we are very, our niche is conservative families that want to make the move up here. So we don't get super liberal people calling us because they watch our YouTube and they're like, oh, those guys sound scary. They have tattoos. They like guns.
They like too much liberty.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So we kind of control that. Doesn't mean they're not coming here, but the business thing is a scary. It's daunting. And thankfully, a lot of the business up here currently is cool gun manufacturers and gun parts, and like, can we keep that going?
Mm-hmm.
That would be
what you need to do is call Aero Precision right now.
Where are they out of now? Washington?
Tacoma, Washington.
Oh shit! Come on over, folks.
I mean, if I were your governor, I'd probably find a way to give them the land.
Yeah, we have started.
Just give them the land, and literally like right up in here.
Oh, there's plenty of space.
Would be I've been to their facilities, their manufacturing facilities. They got, I think, 650 full-time employees. The thing runs 24/7, 365. It's cheaper to run it that way. They run the thing on Christmas night.
Can you imagine the decrease in their tax burden just in their first year coming over here?
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess, and not to say they don't have good employees, I'm sure they do.
I think a lot of them would come with them, too.
We were talking to somebody else a couple weeks ago, a boat manufacturer that was talking about making that jump as well.
From the same area, right?
Yeah.
He's over somewhere in there?
Yeah, over on the Sound. And again, rooted in that area. But with this increased tax burden in the last year, there's a lot of businesses over there that I think are looking at it.
They are looking at it, and I think that what you're going to get is a lot of their employees willing to also consider it, because the tax burden is not just on the businesses.
Right.
With the incredible jump in property taxes that we're going to experience in Washington, there's going to be a lot of people open up their statement one month and be like,
I'm out.
What's this, right?
Yeah, that particular company he's talking about, the guy, I mean, I think they have 60 employees, and he was talking about having them all come over.
And what was cool about him is when
we got you.
He's asking,
yeah, you do.
Yeah, but he's asking questions about neighborhoods, not for him, but for all of his employees.
Right.
What's it really like? And safety.
Yep.
What's the crime rate up here? Thinking about families and then how they can raise their kids. That's becoming a huge thing. And I completely respect you have multiple generations in Washington, but one of the things I love about our country is it's a republic of nation states, and we're competing for the most valuable asset, which is good, productive members of the community.
Yep.
And if those states are going to blow policies, they don't deserve to keep them.
I agree completely.
And then they can come over and contribute here. And we're blessed in our state because we're getting a lot of those contributing people here. So when I hear about businesses moving here that are going to have really good jobs and people with those values, I hadn't even thought about that, but it 100% makes sense. This isn't a tech job. This is blue collar, building boats, making things with your hand. It's awesome.
Yeah, and with that, you're bringing the right kind of people to your state, and your state will grow in the direction that keeps Idaho consistent and what's made Idaho so charming forever.
So yeah, if you're in that business, let's go. We actually had a guy reach out the other day. I won't say the business name, but he makes a safety selector switch for ARs that is safe, semi, forced reset trigger.
Oh, okay.
I was like, "Ooh, that's cool."
Yeah, in most states.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, sorry, Washington, but that's the kind of people that are reaching out because their values align. You know, they want to raise their kids here. They want to build their business here, and if it's a business, you know, in the firearms industry, like what a better place to do it.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, and the quality of life that you're getting here.
Oh yeah,
right.
You know, and ultimately, like. The thing that I'm noticing back, like I've lived in the Puget Sound region. I've lived in King County, Washington, my whole life. There's no sense of community in King County at all anymore. You can pay to be in these. I'm in Kirkland, Washington, so a really nice neighborhood, nice homes, good families, but there's just no sense of community because nobody really is willing to just go out.
Yes.
And I think that there are a lot of people who are fine with that lifestyle, but I'm noticing that my family, and this is the thing that's helping, I think, Mrs. Gunlaw come around to this, is she really does want that sense of community. We were talking about Liberty Lake, Washington.
Yep.
Just on the other side.
Right over the border.
Right over the border. And it has got one of the greatest senses of community. The only problem is Bob Ferguson is still the governor there.
Right.
That's the thing, right?
Yep.
But if you could take that community and move it like 1 mile.
Yeah.
It would be, to me, it'd be like Nirvana. I mean, it would be perfect.
It would be. It's heavenly.
Right? Yeah.
Multiple golf courses. You know, it's
everyone's on golf cart community.
It's pretty cool.
All the guys, because every home there's got 3-car garages. A lot of these guys have converted one of them to their outdoor bar. So you just drive around and Joe's got the bar open. You pull in the driveway there, and you have a drink with Joe, and then you go down. Check out Larry down the street, and, you know, it's a great community.
I really do like it there, but that is the issue. It's just 1 mile too far west.
And they're going to have sticker shock when they open their mortgage statements next year, too.
Man, I got to ask you, as somebody that's watched this and really stayed in tight, you know, talking to BZ, you guys have gone and bashed your head against that wall in the belly of the beast in Olympia, you know, trying to do the right thing and get the state back to where it was. What are your thoughts on Boise and what's happening there? Because we spend a lot of our time focusing on, you know, we call it the boiling frog. You know, they keep cranking up the temperature, and we don't want to boil to death. So what are your thoughts on Boise and how that's started to turn purple?
Well, the reason is what's the new industry that's gone into Boise?
Oh, tech.
So that's what we're talking about, right? That's your thing. That's your thing. So you're either going to have to stop the flow of that, which would be hard to convince your state legislature to do that.
Right.
And
Too much
city
money.
of Boise, way too much money, or you're going to have to offset it in some way. Because that's what's happening in Boise. Boise's becoming a Los Angeles. It's becoming a Bay Area. It's becoming a Seattle.
They run around
a Portland.
They wear shirts that say New California, and have a map that says New California.
No.
Yes.
Are they one of the cities that changed their city flag too?
Yes. And that was voted. It was 5 out of 7, 4 out of 6 of the. No, there was only one. I think it was 4 out of 5. Other city county commissioners voted and approved that.
Yeah.
To make that a city mandated.
The great litmus test of where your community is going is always in your local city councils.
Yeah, I agree with it. We've talked more about that here recently.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it with you yet, but we just started a judicial watch group up here.
Yeah, we did talk about that before we started
cool.
recording.
I was doing camera stuff, but
I'm actually interested in this because I've done a little of this in Washington.
See?
Oh, please! I'd love to get your feedback because we just kind of kicked it off, and we're going to keep it.
I think it goes out next week. Which, if you're listening to this, it will already be out.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the keys, right? Is to just educate. Mm-hmm. You go to vote. I mean, this was our big beef with the whole thing. You go to vote, and you've got the judges over here. There's no information anywhere. You Google it, you can't find information on them.
Can't even find who's running this next year.
Generally you just vote for the incumbent. Life's good here. It must
Retain
be fine, right?
Judge Jones.
Yes.
Retain.
But you don't know. And the guys who do know are the cops that are out there working the street and are pushing these cases forward and seeing what happens.
And you know who knows better than that? Is the lawyers.
Prosecutors, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I learned a disturbing fact when we did that the public defender here in Kootenai County does not even live in Idaho. He lives in Washington.
Right. And
Which was weird to me.
That is weird.
And
Yeah.
he's the primary now for Kootenai County. I've gone against him in court. I can't even count the number of times. And he's a scary one, man. He's a zealot. Like he absolutely believes that cops lie.
Cops are bad. All cops lie. Yeah.
And it's not even about the case or the defendant at that point. He just goes after the integrity of cops, and he doesn't even live here. So somebody that's making these, and he's been parts of monumental decisions, to include the Clark decision, which disallowed officers to arrest on misdemeanors that didn't occur in their presence. So
that is
means
huge.
A domestic violence incident.
Right.
I can't arrest on that.
That's crazy.
You have to ask the victim to perform a citizen's
Okay, we don't
arrest.
even have crazy laws like that
That's
in
nuts.
Washington State.
That's nuts.
It's been or like DUI crash, right? Where I was a trooper, I used to hook with that all the time. And it makes sense because now you've removed this person from the situation.
Gotta get him off the road, too.
If I let him
Absolutely.
go, there's a good chance he's going to get in another vehicle.
Absolutely. You got to get them off the road.
Yep. So the primary motivating force behind that was a public defender here that doesn't even live here.
Wow.
So that's the type of stuff I want people to be aware of when they're
Yeah.
voting or when there's
Well,
an
here's what I
election.
want you guys to be aware of, okay? So I don't know how large your voter districts are here, but I want to take you back to what we did in King County, Washington, a number of years ago when we started this thing called Citizens for Judicial Excellence. And even though we were able to successfully say that, hey, 85% of our members were just citizens of the community because they were by making small donations. Most of the money had been raised by trial lawyers, okay? And what we did is we figured out who these judges were that just weren't worth being reelected. Now, these judges rely on sometimes having no opponents or having very poorly funded opponents. So they will get reelected sometimes for just their filing fee. The thing that will scare the out of them is all of a sudden they get a well-funded opponent that's going to run a real campaign against them, because now, depending on the size of your jurisdiction, it might cost you $150,000, $250,000 to run that campaign. Okay? Those judges sometimes don't have any type of fundraising apparatus in place because they haven't had to fundraise ever to retain their job. If you suddenly come in with a real candidate who's already got his fundraising apparatus in place and you got some things you can hold the incumbent judge accountable for.
Like their record.
Like their record, which is the best thing.
Yeah.
You can whack these incumbent judges. We took 3 of them out in King County in 2 election cycles.
Oh, you hear that?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm excited about
There's
this.
a way.
There is a way, but here's the thing. Election politics, no matter how you want to break it down, comes down to 2 things and 2 things only. You can take policy and all that crap out of it, okay? It comes down to money and math. And what I mean by math is you got to get more votes than the other side. It's that simple.
Yep.
The way you get more votes is you spend more money. That's it. How are you guys going to do it? The education component is critical, but is it going to be the persuasive factor in local elections? No, you got to hit them in the pocketbook. And sometimes what we did with other judges, we ran some campaigns against some judges that did not deserve to be there. They won, barely. And they also were $80,000 in debt because of it, right? Their rulings got better.
They were threatened.
You know,
right?
well, they were being
Yeah.
held accountable.
Yes, but
That's
threatened
the
by
thing.
accountability. Threatened.
It was
yes.
accountability, which, when you're in an elected position, is the one form that is designed to hold elected officers accountable, is election. So sometimes you don't even have to win to get a shift in policy where the judge goes, my current way of doing things is not currently working. And so
I like that. We're definitely hoping the accountability thing. That's something we may have some help in. We may be able to help in is getting the awareness out there, getting the voices to start going. Now this judge is like, oh, maybe I should give some prison time, not probation.
Yeah, let me go back to the middle a little bit
yeah.
instead of being so progressive.
have you thought about developing a rating system?
That'd be great.
That's a good idea.
A rating system based on, maybe you give them 3 or 4 grades based upon different criteria that you think, how are they on sentencing? How are they on pretrial constitutional issue. Are they checking cases out on probable cause all the time that are you've seen cases checked out before where you're like, dude, really? You're going to throw this one out? Now, I'll tell you as a defense attorney, I've won some that were absolutely righteous. Okay. Absolutely righteous.
I don't mind. I mean, I testified a lot. Idaho, we testify a lot. You have to have a preliminary hearing in this state, even though you already have probable cause affidavit. We still have a preliminary hearing here. So, but my problem was always judges that took it like a mini jury trial. My burden of proof is 51%.
That's right. Preponderance of evidence. That's right.
And we're sitting here at 85, 90%, and you're going to toss this, right? Leave that for jury trial, but it's
But those are
totally
criteria
dependent.
that judges should be looking at too. Are they throwing out a bunch of drug evidence all the time in drug cases? Right, on bad searches and seizures, or what they perceive, right? Because I've seen activist judges. I mean, I practiced in King County, Washington my whole life. I've seen activist judges at work. I've seen the difference. There are self-defense cases people come to me about, and I'm like, well, listen, you're going to get charged here in King County. If you were in Yakima, you'd get a medal for what you did, right? I mean, right?
And that's scary, though, as a citizen. That's...
You know, Eric, I wanted to say, you were talking about this true believer in as a public defender and just all cops are liars, all cops are liars. Yeah. Okay, so this is God's honest truth. I spent 3 years as a prosecuting attorney, 25 years as a criminal defense attorney doing nothing but trial work. I have had more officers on the witness stand than I can even possibly imagine. I can count on less than these fingers how many times I caught a cop in a bold-faced lie.
It's very rare.
It's rare.
Oh, man.
It's rare. I listen, and if you watch on the channel, you don't hear me sticking it to law enforcement as a defense attorney because my experience with them has always been good.
Candid and honest.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. I could tell you some stories off camera about some guys that just, were not particularly good cops.
Right.
Sure.
Right?
They're out there.
And you get them and you put a detonator on them and that's it. But 99% of the time, that is not what I was working with.
You know who
just wasn't.
You know who hates those more than anybody else? All the other cops. Because inevitably, that's who labels everybody else behind the badge. Is somebody that willingly goes up there.
You know what's changing that, though? The body camera.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate it. I freaking love it. I love the
greatest thing ever.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The days before cameras were cool. Not
because,
but
I think they were
we did illegal things. But because you could have a lot more fun.
Right.
I get that, but so as a defense attorney, I always liked it because so many times I spent a part of my life doing DUIs, and so I was doing Washington State Patrol.
Yeah.
And actually, the state troopers in Washington State are awesome.
Yep.
Great people. I have nothing but good things to say about that agency. And I get clients all the time. That trooper's full of crap. It didn't go down like that. He's blah, 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 blah. And I didn't have tapes back in the day.
Right.
And so now I'm like, well, okay, But now it's like, well, okay, let's just hit play. Let's just see what happened here.
Yep.
Occasionally, I got a case dismissed about 4 months ago. It was an old case still straggling around. Took forever for him to file it. Where the whole real reason for the arrest is that my client supposedly had stumbled coming out of the car. Except that it was all captured on camera, and he didn't stumble at all. And the judge just, she's like, that was what you hung your hat on. That's what I was going to hang my hat on. And it's not there. And where's there to hang my hat here? Because it was a speed-only stop.
Right.
No slurred speech. Yeah, I had a couple kind of thing. No problem getting a license.
Right.
So it was a... Now, should my guy been driving a car? Probably not.
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But... He got him off the road.
I
got him off the road that night.
I never minded that though. Even and I have a lot of respect for a lot of defense attorneys, and you know them. Our community's still very small. I could name a couple where it was always very mutual. They'd almost tell me before, "Hey, you're not going after anything with this. It's procedural with the paperwork." Okay, cool. Hey, I didn't like this part of your stop. I didn't like your probable cause for the stop. Okay, that's cool. Like I'm not perfect.
Yep.
When I'd view probable cause and I would sit up there without a camera and testify a certain way because that's the way I recall it or what they said or stated. And I watched the video. It was like, well, that was a little bit different than right? Because your brain, it's not a camera. Our brain is not a camera. It's a series of a number of different things. You get into brain stuff, but I don't have any problem with that at all. What I do mind is automatically walking into the courtroom assuming that cops are lying.
Yeah.
It's completely inaccurate.
It's completely inaccurate.
And it's
It
not,
is, in
it's
my
not,
experience.
and it's not good for the community. It's just intentionally trying to drive a wedge between the community and the law enforcement that's there to serve and protect them.
I agree with all of that.
So it's interesting. The local politics here are interesting. So I like that though. When it comes to judges.
Get your prosecutors, and you might be able to find some private defense attorneys also that can be objective in how they're rating the judge. And
I
then
can
you
think
could
of
be
one
telling
right
you-
now.
Then you could be telling the community, listen, we are basing our criteria on this, and our rating committee consists of, and now you have this broad range of people within the criminal justice system that are rating these judges collectively, and you're giving the judge a score. Something easy that the voter can understand right away.
How about consistency?
Yeah. Well, we've got a bunch of retired cops up here, and we've had a few reach out that are interested in just going to sit in on cases. I mean, who better to do that?
The best thing a judge can be is consistent.
Yeah. That's it.
I've having practiced so long, and when you try enough cases, you get to know these judges, and you'll spend time back in chambers and off the
Right.
record and stuff. And I've always told them that the best quality you can have is I want you to be predictable.
Right.
That's it. Even if you're going to be predictably bad all the time, that's fine. Just because I can at least tell my client, here's what's going to likely happen to us. Right? I don't like unpredictability. Oh, this judge is going to be great. And
Right.
then you walk in, and they're getting the head lopped off, and you're like, right? Don't be that judge.
No, I think you bring up a great point. Criminal defense attorneys. My favorite judge here locally was a career public defender.
Yeah.
And she is my favorite one here locally. And it's consistency. And
Yep.
she applies the same standards, logic, and principles from my experience to every case of which she's a part.
That's a good judge.
Right? That's what you're looking for. What you can't have is these complete one-offs that all of a sudden alter and change the entire landscape that law enforcement's supposed to operate within.
I got a case to ask you guys about. I was actually thinking of doing a video on this. You had some guy out here on I-90 all drunk stop his car and decide to start popping off rounds with his handgun at a bunch of other cars. I think he
Like
discharged
90?
like 40 rounds
I think it
or
was
something.
90.
Okay, only struck 2 cars, by the way, so
Yeah.
he's a terrible shot. But I understand the guy's going to serve a day in jail for that.
I just saw that come out. I was thinking
gotta
about that
see
the
it.
other day when I was driving through that same area. I was like, I think I would just, boom, run him right the fuck over.
Well, at that point, you very well may have the legal right to do so because everybody in that area is an imminent threat of death
I
or
can
serious
I
bodily
can
injury,
Oh,
which
yeah.
puts you in a
articulate.
position to use lethal force
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
You guys are both law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know this. Gives a person in that presence the ability to use
Absolutely.
lethal force to defend others.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
pisses me off. My son drives that road. Like, I don't want some asshole shooting at people.
Thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of people are driving that road.
Right.
So the guy is hammered, okay, and in possession of a firearm and driving a
Which
car.
is already against the law,
So we
yeah.
got all sorts of problems there. Then he decides to just pull the car over and just start popping off rounds. He gets convicted of all sorts of things. I'm thinking this guy's going
Gotta
to do
go
a
to
couple
prison,
years,
right?
a couple years in
Gotta.
prison for this one, right? I mean, how many felony assault accounts do you have
Right?
just for popping off rounds at people, at passing motorists? And then it turns out he's like getting 2 years
Yeah.
of probation.
Yeah.
That's
How?
probably mental health court, but you got to go back and look at the judge that delivered the sentence.
Yeah, see, and that's why I was asking you because it's an article that just like, oh, dude, look at this, and that's it. And you don't,
Yeah.
you got to get into the details to see what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where it's tough sometimes, discretion. I mean, I know you and I have discussed this a lot, but across the country, there was a long conversation about removing officers' immunity, even though they're being funneled into this situation where they're forced to make a rapid decision. Then 30 people get to sit around, and a lot of lawyers get to sit around for 8 months and decide whether or not in that split-second decision he could have done something that may or may not have yielded a more favorable result. But we talk about removing officers' immunity.
Yeah, that might as well just remove officers altogether. They can't do their job
I
without
would
a
not.
level of immunity.
I would not.
No.
Did some states do that? I thought somebody did it.
Minnesota was trying.
Yeah.
I don't know if they successfully did that.
Why
or not.
would you work for a law enforcement department in a place where you
There's
had no level of immunity whatsoever?
No way.
But why haven't we ever discussed judges' immunity?
Oh yeah, I like this.
When they
Qualified immunity?
Yeah.
Yes, where they have a track record of repeatedly releasing violent felon offenders, and here's my argument for it. Not that I'd advocate for it, because I think there's a lot of really, really good judges, but they have the benefit of time and distance. You get to make an actual logical decision. This isn't a rapid decision. You get to use your prefrontal cortex and use that logical part of your brain to think and make an informed decision. You have lawyers giving you an entire criminal history on somebody.
Yes.
But if I'm one of those parents that loses, God forbid, but loses a child to a repeat offender that a judge let go,
out on low bail or no bail or something like that. Yeah.
Why have we not discussed that at all, in some of these areas?
So I'll tell you a funny story kind of along those lines. There was a piece of legislation. As you know, I cover legislation in Washington. I will cover bad legislation no matter who drafts it. And there was a bill that was drafted by some Republicans this year. And what it was is that if an individual appears before a judge on a felony and that person is released and then they go, it was a violent felony, and then they go out and commit another violent felony while on release, the defense attorney shall be held liable.
Oh.
Okay. And so I did a video, and there was 4 sponsors of the bill, and I had an idea of who the one was, because it was a terrible piece of legislation. It was a crazy piece. And so I had basically pointed out that, listen, the prosecutor has qualified immunity in this equation, right? So even if they make a crappy argument like, oh, okay, judge, whatever, let them go, they got qualified immunity. They're prosecuting hearing. The judge has qualified immunity. You know who doesn't? Is the defense attorney. And yet, you know who the one person is that actually his job is to advocate for that defendant? Is actually the defense attorney. And so I jokingly said, listen, one of you 4 is going to have to call me and apologize for drafting this bill. Jokingly said it. The next day, I'll say her name right there in the camera. Representative Jenny Graham from Spokane calls me livid at my video.
Really?
Yeah, because she was the sponsor of the bill.
Did you say thanks for watching? Please subscribe.
I did.
Click that little bell.
Smash that subscribe button next time.
That's awesome.
And her whole thing is that you don't understand what's going on in the courtroom. And I was like, no, actually, you see, Representative Graham, I live in a courtroom, so I really understand what's going on there. And there is a real problem. There is a real problem that you're talking about. It's these activist judges, right?
Yeah.
And here's a bad piece of legislation trying to fix the problem because it recognizes that the hurdle to it is qualified immunity.
Right.
But you're never going to get rid of qualified immunity. No. It's not going to happen because who wants to be a judge then if you're not going to?
I don't mean that. I don't mean that as a blanket statement. I just wish there was a vehicle to hold them accountable for some of that.
There is.
What is it?
What you guys are creating right here, right now. It's that level of not only educating, but then identifying judges that do not deserve re-election and accumulating and allocating resources to get them out of office. That's what needs to be done. Okay?
Point. Yeah.
Because everyone up here has a way of looking at the world and a certain standards that they want everyone in this community to live by. And you want your judges to uphold those standards. And if judges are unwilling or incapable of upholding those standards, then they're not serving their community correctly. And they need to be replaced. But you need money, and you got to educate the voters. And one of the big things, I bet if you went around here, you'd find so many potential voters, but people who don't really get involved in or they vote just when the president, every 4 years when the presidential election. But there's a lot of states that set up these off-year elections where you have huge races. And you have got to keep voters engaged.
That's the challenge here. And I think a lot of people, they have great intentions. They're great people. They're very complacent because living in North Idaho, it's paradise.
It's a lot of stuff to do.
And you get the feeling like it'll never change. Yeah. So that's where that complacency comes from.
Puget Sound, Western Washington is one of the most gorgeous places. If you look at it from an airplane, you're like, that is gorgeous. When you get to street level, however, you realize it ain't beautiful anymore.
Yeah.
No. And that's what everyone here in Idaho, from 25,000 feet, North Idaho will always, always, always look beautiful. But it's what it looks like and what it feels like at the street level that matters.
And it takes work, right? Yeah. You have to pay attention to that. And I'll tell you what, the citizens that pay the most attention to it, in my experience, are the ones that are just moving here from Washington.
Yes, they get a lot of shit
Oregon,
because
California,
whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
California, my Idaho.
Yes, that's it. I was trying to say California Cape, but that's not the right word. But yeah, you hear that all the time, and I'm trying to tell people, like, that's not who's coming here, at least in our experience.
Right.
Maybe Boise, I don't know. But North Idaho, no. These people are engaged. They are committed. They are uprooting their families. They're going through tremendous economic, physical difficulties to get here, and they don't want it to change.
And we ask them to, please bring your experiences from there.
Yeah.
Help pay attention to local stuff. Let me know if you see something that looks like what happened in your city that you've now left after 45 years. That's what we're getting. We're getting families uprooting generations.
I know.
Right. That's a big deal.
Hey, the conversation's occurring at Casa de Kirk.
Right. And these are good, again, good productive members of society. I can't believe I'm saying that about a criminal defense.
Hey, I have elevated. This is like a big day for me, man. I'm serious.
Man.
This is awesome.
No.
Actually, if you went and talked to all of the officers and troopers back in Washington State, they'd be like, no, actually, he's pretty cool.
I say it in jest,
right.
man.
Yeah, he's all right.
I say that in jest. I've got several that I have good working relationships with, and again, it would just be, hey, no, I'm going after this. All right, fair enough. That's the game.
There would be times where you would be like, listen, I ain't here to make you look bad. I'm here to get this, and this out of you. So here's what I'm going to ask. And I would tell them ahead of time, I'm going to ask you this.
Right.
I'm going to ask you this. And I'm going to ask you this. Cool? Cool.
Yeah.
And you get up and like, trooper, got 3 questions for you. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Now I have that little nugget of fact that I need to go make my argument. I didn't need to make him look like a jackass.
Yep.
He was going to agree with those 3 questions. So I didn't need to go through the rest of the crap. What, to hear myself talk?
Right.
Right? So just get what I need. He's cool with me. A lot of troopers, when they're walking out of court, tap me on the shoulder, shake my hand on the way back because I play fair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I definitely had an experience with one where he approached the prosecutor and said, hey, I've had Boardman on the stand a bunch. He's like, go show him this real quick. And I was like, holy crap. Again, it was one of those where I would have testified the other way, every single day, right? And then you see it and you're like, oh man, but he didn't need to get me on the stand and destroy
like,
me.
Hey, let's fix this here right now.
Absolutely.
Nobody has to.
That was,
you're human.
that's honorable. That's cool.
Well, not only that, but shockingly, you're human. So we're all capable of making mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
it happens.
And I'll take ownership of them, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to make a big spectacle out of it. So I respect that.
I want to circle back on this Boise problem of yours.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys need to understand what a problem it can be. And I'll give you 2 examples. Most months, I have more subscribers in Illinois than I do in Washington State.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like David Hasselhoff was like a real big musician in Germany. Yeah, Washington Gun Law is a real big channel in Illinois.
Well, you're striking a nerve in Illinois, whatever it is.
So it's they've been through hell out there.
Yeah.
And they just really didn't have anyone that was speaking to them. And so I started doing videos about Illinois, and the audience started engaging. And so I just finished another speaking tour in Illinois. I've done two in less than a year. Gone out to Illinois, visit these gun clubs, speak to folks. They're great. Illinois and Washington are exactly the same in this way. You get outside King, Pierce, or Snohomish County, or you get outside of Cook or Lake County in Illinois and get anywhere else in the state, and it is red, it is hardworking, true-blooded Americans, right? Blue-collar, hardworking American, tax-paying, God-loving Americans.
Yep.
And all of central and southern Illinois is that way. Okay, I was there in October the first time. You can't imagine how many Trump signs I saw in central and southern Illinois. Everywhere. The problem is there's not enough votes down there to offset what goes on in Chicago. Mm-hmm. There's not enough votes in Washington to offset what happens in Seattle and Tacoma.
What do we call that, bro? It's tail wagging the dog.
Tail wagging the dog.
And does Boise get to that from a mathematical standpoint at some point?
Because it's close.
It does.
See what I mean?
This is what we're afraid of. I've actually been telling people, because we get all sorts of
like
nasty
the
comments.
Death Star. It's like having the Death Star in your galaxy at that point.
We get so many nasty comments on our YouTube about stop telling people, stop bringing people here. Now my rebuttal is, you know what? We actually need to bring more people up here that are conservative and willing to get involved, because Boise is going to be our biggest problem. Do you want your way of life in North Idaho to be dictated by a city 7 hours away?
Ask the folks in Tri-Cities how much they like folks in Olympia telling them how to live their lives.
Right. That's what's going to happen.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy.
I truly think it's different. I mean, it's early stages, but Nampa's not that way. Meridian's not that way. A lot of other parts of Ada County, it's one district. Because I broke it down, was looking at some of the local races. There's one district that's crazy blue, right? That's kind of tainting the rest of it. But there is a significant difference. Our last presidential election, we broke down the numbers, right? I think they went 54% for Trump, 45%. And that's pretty damn close.
That's too close.
That's tight. Up here, it was like 73 and
27.
Something like that. It was there's definitely a shift. I mean, there's definitely a split.
I should say there are some wonderful people in Boise. I'm going to get comments about that too. We're not discrediting you.
No.
We're just trying to call attention to it.
Well, Boise has always been a great city.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, it's clean. It's
For a big
nice.
city, it's very clean.
Yeah, it is. It is, and you can get a good quality of life currently in Boise. But I would, and I'm not trying to badmouth Boise. I'm going to badmouth Seattle and Portland.
Yep.
Okay, because that's Boise. That's what you need to do. Is you need to look at Seattle and Portland and ask yourselves, do you want to go there?
What do I want to be when I grow up?
What do I want to be when I grow up? Yeah. No, that's exactly. That's a great way of putting it, because that is a possibility if you continue down a particular path.
That's what we're trying to fight, man.
San Francisco's gone the same way. And San Francisco is one of the nation's great cities. You know, it's there with New York and Chicago, right?
And it was
the
cool
history,
not that long ago.
Yeah, and the history in San Francisco is immense.
Yep.
From a historical standpoint, right? So much has happened there. And, I mean, that city's gone to hell.
I wouldn't go there now.
Yeah.
When it was 3 years ago, my wife took me there because they stopped doing cage diving in Guadalupe. So she took me to San Francisco to go out to the Fair Lawn to go cage diving with great whites. So I'd never been to San Francisco. My submarine was the USS San Francisco. I was on that a lot. But anyways,
strange.
So I was in San Francisco. What a cool layout! Like going down, unbelievably
The architecture in that town and everything.
Yeah.
We rode over the bridge probably 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
We were there for like 3 days. It was unreal. It could be so cool. But then you couple that with signs that say, leave your car unlocked and take all your valuables with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the pervasive open-air drug use and homelessness and broken windows. How could you live there?
Yep.
How could you raise kids there?
But again, it looks pretty, so it's good from far, but far from good.
Yeah, 25,000 foot view. It looks great.
Oh, amazing.
Hey, fun fact, I once did pull-ups on the underside of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then I immediately got called in by my lieutenant. What the fuck are you doing?
That was probably an excellent question.
I was like, come on, man. I mean,
That's a write-up I would take.
hell
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
It's good to go.
In the grand scheme, that's pretty cool. Well, that's why, man, it's really interesting getting your perspective, just because you've been so knee-deep. And we call it, who did we have on? We had Linda Wilson on.
Linda Wilson, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She's great.
Yep. But from the belly of the beast, you're banging your head against this wall. And that's why, man, the most profound thing in this entire conversation so far is, can you fix it? And your immediate answer was no.
Not in Washington.
It
Unless we suddenly, the tech industry up and leaves Washington, and it's almost like you
hopefully
got to
they
hit
don't
an
come
alternate
here.
control delete, right? And just do a complete reset or something. But I just don't see from an industrial standpoint how we're going to attract people with conservative values to the state of Washington.
Is there a possibility that...
And it doesn't make mathematical sense. If you're living
No.
in Oklahoma and you got a decent, why would you move to Washington State?
Right.
What the hell would you do that for?
I got buddies out there that are cops in King County, and they would take a pay cut to lateral, but their life circumstance, either divorce and kids, they can't.
They just can't do it. You're
They're
tethered there in
stuck.
a way that,
Yep.
and listen, I saw the writing on the wall on this 10 years ago. And at the time, I had the big, huge law practice, attorneys working under me, assistants running everywhere, and I realized, I will never, ever be able to leave Washington State if I'm tethered to a law practice. And so when the opportunity of Washington gun law came along and it turned into be more than just a pet project and actually spun into a real platform that could actually make me money, that's when I really started dumping into it, because I realized, I don't need to be in Washington to be Washington gun law.
Yeah, good point.
Right? I don't. Nobody cares where I am. And would I always look out for the hometown crowd? Of course, that's my home state. I would always look out for them. That's my, but I don't necessarily need to be in Washington State.
And what a resounding message, truly. I look at it, I think about it as a listener of yours, and I actually left it. Here's the long-term prospects that I foresee happening in Washington, and I predicted this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It finally got to a point where I can no longer keep my family here, right? Like the policies.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I got a kid who's just finished his freshman year in high school.
Same here. My son's a freshman.
Is
at
there a
Lakeland.
possibility that it's gotten so off the rails that the moderate liberals will be like, okay,
I just thought we would have seen that in the last election cycle.
Good point. Maybe it's just going to get a little bit worse. Before it gets
Especially
better.
because Bob Ferguson was really a kind of a milquetoast candidate. I mean, he's got the charisma of a mashed potato sandwich on white bread. He's kind of evil.
Sounds that way.
Yeah, no, he's just a bad human being. He was polling weakly the whole time, but then the person that we had run against him was a retired King County sheriff who looked good on paper, but his campaign was just asinine. It just non-existent.
You ever see yourself getting into politics?
Absolutely not.
Same.
Smart.
Absolutely not. No.
You say same, but I'm going to get you there.
Mrs. Gunlaw would not. We've had that discussion.
Right.
Because it's been brought up. There was discussions. The Republican Party, when they were looking for someone to run for Attorney General, had discussions with me and a few other people, but my wife would never go.
And to be honest, the platforms that you have, you might be able to affect more change through that.
Yeah.
Than if you ever got elected into any kind of position.
That would put me back working for government again.
Right.
And I spent 3 years working as a King County prosecutor for Norm Mailing back in the day when we used to police the community back there. And it was a great experience, but could I see myself going back and working? That's why I never saw myself going back as a judge either. I don't want to go back and work in government again.
Yeah.
I've been in private industry for so long that any level of laziness or waste, I would, what is that?
Yeah, there's plenty of that in the
that's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
What are some of the hot topics that you're talking about on your channel lately?
The hottest topic appears to be the SIG P320.
Oh,
yeah. They have, I don't know who's running SIG's PR team, but they suck. Okay. Here's the thing. SIG has decided that there's not a problem with the P320 at all, and they have made some very bold and brash statements, all of which are available on their website, a whole page built out about the 320, where they were saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with this firearm. It's all user error, and this is really a vast left-wing conspiracy to try to undo.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Yeah, they're
argument.
they're playing victim here. Okay.
Went to their playbook.
You went to their playbook. The problem is that in recent weeks, you've seen guys like Hickok 45, Colion Noir, Masad Ayub. I don't think any of them are particularly anti-2A.
No,
coming out
and they know their way around a gun.
And they know
right?
their way around a gun, and they're expressing concerns. And so, it's putting products into the marketplace. This happens sometimes. The automobile manufacturers deal with it all the time. Cars have recalls all the freaking time.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, with a firearm, the malfunction can be quite lethal, and it has been. But I don't understand SIG's desire to just double down on this denial on the whole thing.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, they run on a fire control unit, so you can just swap out the whole fire control unit on
it's a
SIG.
modular design.
I mean, yeah, it would cost them a lot of money, but is it going to cost them more when people start dying? If that
Well,
happens,
that's already
I don't know.
happened.
It did happen, right?
It happened on a U.S. Air Force base 2
Base.
weeks ago. So the Air Force pulled the firearm, and I did a little research. Chicago PD, Dallas PD, Nashville PD, all have pulled the firearm. Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission just pulled the firearm.
Oh, shit, that's a big deal.
IDPA just pulled the firearm from all their competitions.
Wow.
So I don't know what SIG's going to do if they want to keep doubling down on this. It's not going to end well. It's going to be their Ford Pinto in a way, right?
Sucks.
And it's weird because when you think about it, SIG is a really good company.
I've got a few. I love them.
Yeah.
Man, firearms, there's so much loyalty behind the gun runners that purchase, like some are Glock guys, right? Some are SIG, some are, Springfield, whatever your firearm, there's such a loyalty. It reminds me of Bud Light. It's like once you destroy and erode
that brand loyalty,
that loyalty and faith,
they'll find another brand to be loyal to.
And then they'll say, you know what? This one's actually pretty good too. And they're still, Bud Light's still trying to recover from that. But I look at it like this. If they just come out and said, hey, this is an error. We've identified it as this. You take it into these dealerships. We're going to swap it out with a good unit.
It costs them a ton of money, but in the long run, it'll save them a ton of money.
It'll save the brand.
Yeah.
It'll save the brand.
What's your everyday carry? What do you...
Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 metal frame. I got the 4-inch barrel and I got the 3 1/4-inch barrel.
Okay.
It just kind of depends on what
you're feeling.
What I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever you're wearing, want to look cute.
I actually
depends on your shorts length. At the time.
I'll tell you a story because Alex Mowry. So I was this close to buying a Staccato.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
because
they're fucking sweet.
They're cool.
They are sweet.
And Alex is like, you thinking about doing that for an everyday carry? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, check this one out instead first. It's about half the price.
Yep.
And I went and checked it out, fell in love with it right away. Mm-hmm. So that's my everyday carry, and I got it in the 4-inch and the 3 1/4. Nice. I like the 4-inch barrel better. I like it, and I like the metal frame. I like a heavier gun. It just sits quieter in my hand.
Yeah.
So that's my preferred method. But I get this question all the time. People want to know, what should I carry? What should I carry?
Yeah.
And my answer is whatever the hell you put shots on target on.
Yeah, good point.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it could be a high point, but if you can ring it all day, I mean,
so what? Go
yeah,
with it.
I hope
Yeah.
it goes boom every time you pull. But
My,
you know, it's still going 1,150 feet a second.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
My answer to that question is whatever you will actually carry, because there's some ways I just don't carry or it's uncomfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? I see a lot of guys like, I can't carry in the small of my back just from fucking sitting in a patrol car for so long. It jacked my back up. So it's just not comfortable.
I'm a right appendix guy.
I will go appendix. I pocket carry a 357 a lot of times.
Oh, really?
And then I'll fanny pack it too.
You fanny pack
no
it?
shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool ass Eberly stock fanny
Well,
pack.
John made that cool.
So
good point.
I write appendix, but then when I in my car, I have in the center console, I unholster and I put it there because especially when I got the 4-inch barrel, it's a little uncomfortable where it's pointing and everything.
Yes.
I also find that during traffic stops, because I do occasionally get pulled over, and the troopers will come up right away, and they know I'm a CPL holder because they radio it in, and Mr. Kirk, because they're and I always be like, yeah, it's in the center console, but everything you need is over there in the glove box.
Do you get recognized when they walk up?
Yeah,
I
I got a
bet.
lot.
Sure
I
it's
got a
happening.
lot of law enforcement that watch the channel.
I bet.
I really
it's
and
good-
I
it's good
appreciate their
information.
support. I
Yeah.
appreciate their support.
Cool.
A lot of security guys, the marshals at the courthouses are all big subscribers. And I'll tell you the other thing. I'll put a plug in for Alaska Airlines. I have had now 4 captains walk up to me.
No shit.
As I was
That's
getting on flights,
cool.
like, Mr. Kirk, just want you to know I subscribe. So I think the pilots at Alaska Airlines they're
Yeah.
staying strapped, man.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
But so kudos to Alaska Airlines.
That's freaking cool.
It is really cool. And that's the thing. When I started this channel, I was just doing it because I didn't have anything else to do during the pandemic.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
had all this unrest going on in Seattle. And people were like, what do I do if they're throwing Molotov cocktails in my business? Or what do I do if I drive into an Antifa rally? So I just did a couple of videos like, here's the law on that. And so I never went into it as like, I'm going to be a content creator. I'm going to try to make myself a personality. I was like, I'm just going to do a lot of English translation so you guys understand where the laws are, where the lines are, so you can figure out where you want to scribble.
Yeah.
Right? And just one thing led to another, led to another, and you wake up one day and you're like, I got how many subscribers?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Wow. And then I didn't even know you could monetize that thing.
Yeah.
Right? I was at 50,000 subscribers before I turned on monetization, and I got my first check, and I was like, oh, and then you start like, okay, so if I shaved off overhead here, right, and that was the shift in the business model that I went through, is going from full-time running the law firm to more, I'm in the studio now.
That's what I think's interesting about yours is it's not just Washington gun laws. I mean, you said yourself, I'd be curious what ours are, what our subscribers are in what state, because we're a North Idaho podcast, but there's a lot
All
that
over the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, because
You
they
probably
want
get that.
They want to see if it's going to happen in their state. So yours is Washington gun laws, but you talk about a lot of the precursors.
So I go to I got a lot of subscribers in California because if you really want material to work with, go to the state of California.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody, I was like, why am I telling you about this? Because it's just a matter of time before it's on your front porch also.
Yep.
If
Right.
you don't do something about it. Every crazy gun law starts in California, and then it goes elsewhere.
Yeah.
All right, the assault weapon ban in Washington State's not a new idea. They did it in California a long time ago. Same with magazine bans. You see in New Mexico make the efforts. Colorado make the efforts.
Yep.
Illinois recently enacted an assault weapon ban. New Hampshire is about to enact an assault weapon ban.
Live free or die, people.
And,
Come on.
And here's the other one everyone needs to be aware of. Assembly Bill 1127 down in California will ban any firearm that can be converted using a switch. Translation, it will ban all Glocks and Glock clones.
Oh, just because it could be.
Yeah, well, because it could be, because somebody could do something illegal using an illegal product to it. We therefore need to ban.
So dumb.
Right? It's like banning. It's like banning the
That's so
sale of
dumb.
Kias here in Idaho because they're too easy to steal.
Right.
Right. It's already illegal.
Yeah.
to
So
put a
why don't we
switch
just
on
go
your
after
Glock.
people stealing the freaking
Well,
cars?
it makes sense if you don't think about it. If they were going to do an illegal conversion to the Glock, I'm sure they're going to follow the new law that makes Glock illegal.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be the one they'll follow.
Right.
Yeah,
It totally
absolutely.
makes
It's
sense.
just, and that's the thing. It's just every year these state legislators go back and they're like, well, we got to pass this gun law. We got to pass this gun law. We're going to a pre-purchasing licensing thing in Washington State where you're going to have to go through mandatory training and education to get a license before you can go buy a firearm. So it's very similar to what's going on in Illinois with the FOID card. Okay, and what people don't realize is that adds a whole nother layer of deprivation where the state can just punch your license, and it's a license, so it's got fewer protections, right?
Right.
Punch that. Now you can't possess and or purchase firearms because your license has been punched. Have you been convicted of a crime? No. Have you been found mentally incompetent? No. The state just had an administrative action against you because they didn't like something you did and they punched your ticket.
They saw this on Facebook. They saw you on this
Well,
podcast.
yeah, you made this
they saw
comment.
a statement that you made. Thought crimes, dude.
Thought
We're gonna-
crimes.
That's what's going on in Great Britain.
1984.
Legislation in Washington already on that.
Well, but they're smart. They're conniving and they're smart because they realize that having an affront to removing 2A rights, they're not going to do that. They're going to backdoor it. They're going to find a way to license it, and then they can erode it and take it away that way. And they did it with magazines.
Yeah,
right?
they'll do it with any other financial restrictions like mandatory insurance. Oh, you want to own firearms? You have to have a policy for each firearm you own.
That's freaking.
And then you call an insurance company. It's like, so what kind of policy would I get? And the insurance company's like, we don't write policies for individual firearms. Would be bad business. Think about it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, how do I get a firearm then based on,
Yeah. Oh, you don't have the policy in place? Well, I can't get a policy if they don't. Well,
yeah.
you're going to have to talk to your legislator about that, I guess.
Go bang your head against that wall.
These days are coming. Not here, but elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Idaho's just going to keep, or at least North Idaho. I know we talked about that, but they're just going to. All you have to do is look right across the border. And I grew up there, so I can talk some shit, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember what Spokane was. So I think Idaho's just going to keep looking at that, going, no way. Your crime rates are.
I hope so.
You can feel it when you cross the state line. I swear to, because I go over there for drill. I'm still in the reserves, and I went to downtown Spokane for
Downtown
Hoop Fest.
Spokane has become a hellhole.
Oh,
It has.
it's so
It's
bad.
a cool city.
It's
It's beautiful.
It actually, when you think about it, downtown Spokane could be one of the coolest downtowns in all of America
Oh,
because
yeah.
they got those big wide streets and they got
Yeah.
cool architecture and
The
you got
river.
waterfalls right in the middle of the city.
Awesome.
Right?
Riverfront Park is awesome.
You have waterfalls in the middle of your downtown, right?
rad.
And there's just zombies everywhere walking around there. It's
It was fascinating in Hoop Fest, which for those that don't know, Hoop Fest is the largest 3-on-3
it's
tournament.
the best, yeah.
It's so cool. It's all street basketball. It's a blast.
3-on-3,
yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, because Gonzaga's really good, so they generate a lot of attention too. But we went down there for my son to play in that, and we go just about every year. It always blows my mind how effective they are at pushing them out. Right, getting all the zombies out of downtown just for Hoop Fest to make it look super clean. But right at 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon, man, they start creeping back in. It looks
Goes
like
to
a
show
damn.
that they have the ability to clean the city up if they wanted the city cleaned up.
If they want it.
exactly.
Yeah. Just like Newsom in California.
Well, we did it in Seattle. We had the baseball All-Star game a couple years ago, and notoriously SoDo, South Downtown in Seattle, south of the stadiums there, is really become a rough area.
Yep.
I was down there All-Star week, man. It was like, street. It was just Shangri-La down there. It was so nice. Within the very next week, all the dilapidated RVs roll back in. The tents come up.
See, that goes to show, and what did it cost taxpayers to clean that one? But if you would just back up cops and let them do their job. We used to joke about it at Coeur d'Alene. I said, dude, if I could do a 2-week deployment to Seattle with Idaho laws, do you know how much freaking fun that would be?
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
Except for the judges in the jail, man.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know what to do with all that.
I get Idaho laws, okay? I get Idaho laws, but oh my gosh.
I mean, poor judge doing the first appearance calendar is
We have how many?
Back at dinner.
Yep. We have how many? We have 2,700.
2,700?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. No, but if you just empower cops.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you involved with CCW Insurance?
I am the national spokesperson for a company called Right to Bear.
Okay.
They're based out of South Carolina. They're actually owned by Palmetto State Armory.
Oh.
They are available here in Idaho. Since I am not, I don't want to be the salesperson for them. I want to give like really objective advice here. Okay. And so this is what I would say to everybody. Because I think people know that I also had a former relationship with another company who shall remain nameless today.
Okay.
But being an everyday carrier is a lot like being out on a little rubber dinghy in the middle of the ocean. And if you go any one way the wrong direction, you're going to the bottom of the ocean. And what you need when you're out there is a life vest. And I personally do not care who makes the life vest as long as it's going to keep you floating. So whether you think that USCCA or U.S. Law Shield or Right to Bear or whatever other program, Attorneys on Retainer, there's a bunch of them out there. I just want you to have a life vest. Okay, now I want everyone to do their homework, do their research. And I think the thing that all of these companies miss, and I will even say that I think Right to Bear misses this, although they're beginning to listen to me more, is all of these companies are always trying to sell themselves on, let me tell you how great we are. Let me tell you how great our product is. Let me get some cool, slick talking spokesperson with a YouTube channel to say a bunch of snappy little things about it. But, and you guys understand this because you're still running your business away. Life is relational, not transactional.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
100%.
It's one of our themes.
Yeah,
Right?
it is.
Yeah.
You got to take a look at a company who's willing to let you get to know the one relationship that matters. So if you're like a North Idaho resident, you want to know who your attorney is here in North Idaho.
Right.
You want to have confidence because it ain't Bill Kirk that's going to keep your ass out of prison. And it's not Frank back at the corporate headquarters that's going to keep you out of prison. It's the attorney in this neighborhood right here. That's the relationship that matters the most. And that's what I think people should be looking at when they're going out and trying to find a product.
Okay.
Right?
Well, it comes
because
full
that's the life vest. That is the life vest right there. And is this person like, do they truly believe in the cause of being, self-defense and self-determination and the ability to use armed self-defense if necessary? Do they have the trial skills and things like that?
Do they cover things outside of like firearms?
So, okay, all legitimate program is going to cover everything from a fist to a firearm, from a fat lip to a dead body, because actually 95% of self-defense issues do not involve lethal force at all. It will involve a punch, it will involve pepper spray,
Right.
something else. You guys have both been law enforcement. You've responded to many, many self-defense calls that where lethal force was not deployed,
Yep.
but some force was. All of that's lawful self-defense.
That's good to know because I've wondered about that. I train jiu-jitsu and I'm like, I know that would come up.
Oh, absolutely.
If I got
Yeah.
in an altercation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Retired cop and
Yeah.
all of that. They'd say
White,
you should have used.
bald. Don't forget
Well,
that part.
I think people also, here's another thing, because I know this is a big deal in Idaho. Let's say you work church security on Sundays,
Oh, yeah.
which I'm all for that,
Yep.
okay? Does that require that you have to get an additional policy from that company, or is that policy going to cover you? Right? That's a good question to ask someone.
Yeah.
Hey, I work church security. Maybe you're a big, huge community church that's doing like three things a Sunday, and there's like 800 people each time. And so you're talking about there is a security team there, and
Yep.
things can, as we know, unfortunately, get a little crazy. We just had an incident in Seattle 2 nights ago,
Oh.
right? And guy got gunned down right outside of the church
Shit.
that he was going to. He was a former gangbanger. This is one of these churches that kind of try to go out and find people in rough spots and bring them to God and bring them to Jesus. and things like
reclamation
that.
a little bit.
Reclamation type church. And this guy was a kid that apparently had turned the corner and literally walking into the church. Car rolls up on him and boom, boom, boom.
That sucks.
Yeah. So do these companies work? Oh, well, we don't cover that, or you're going to have to get a separate policy if you want to be covered for that. Those are questions you need to ask.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's totally valid. It just comes full circle. What attorney is going to represent you here that knows our judges here, that knows our court system here, that knows Idaho stand your ground laws, that understand the complexities of getting charged with a crime like that in the state? That's valid.
And it's not just in the state. For example, like I'm a King County lawyer. Okay, can I go try a self-defense case in Yakima? Of course I could try a self-defense case. Do I know the judge? Not really. Do I know the prosecutor? No. Do I even know which court I got to be in, or which court I kind of got to stay away from, which calendar during the week do I? No, I don't know any of that stuff. That's why you have to have local counsel, because sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know this is law enforcement, right? As you progress as law enforcement officers, you knew that, well, I want to file this way, or I want to talk to this prosecutor about it, right? Because there was just paths of least resistance in the system as you developed a knowledge of it. Well, same works for the lawyers too.
Yeah.
So that's an important criteria that people should look at. To just get the life vest. I don't care. Check out Right to Bear though. I mean, it's a good product, but you should check them all out, and then you got to do what's right for you.
Well, I never had to think about that before, but I kind of do now.
You do. I'm writing that down because I'm going to take your advice on that.
Yeah.
It's like been in the back of my mind for years. Oh, I should do that. I'm like, well, I don't want to get to the point where I look back and be like, damn it, I should have.
Well, listen,
done that.
I mean, I've represented people who pulled the trigger lawfully,
Yeah.
but didn't have something like that, and you're looking $250,000 in legal fees.
Woo.
Shit.
Shit.
We had a case in Tacoma where the guy pulled the trigger. I felt right from the very get-go, was like, this is a good shot. This is a totally good shot. Prosecutor didn't see it that way.
Damn.
We had to go all the way to trial. It was $270,000. So we brought a couple of, at this point, it's like, man, you're going into a gunfight. You're going to bring as much ammunition as you can. So we had to hire up some experts on use of force, on ballistics, on the whole bit. Because
Hey, lucky for us, we know a bunch of guys, right?
Yeah.
But you got, and those experts, they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're worth every penny. They're worth every penny. Ballistics
Especially
is
in
one of the greatest pieces of evidence ever because it's math.
Right.
Yeah, especially when your freedom's on the
You
line.
can't lie.
That's-
It's hard to make it's hard to
Right.
make up math. Blood spatter's good evidence too, by the way.
Now, science, we've learned science can lie.
Well, no,
but
no.
math
What
cannot.
happens is when we inject politics into anything, it loses credibility.
Yeah.
Science as a community has lost credibility because we allowed politics to be injected into it. I mean, 20 years ago, if you said, well, according to scientists, people would kind of lean in.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on? Now, if I say something, well, according to scientists.
That's true.
Right? And what
That's
you're
valid.
saying is, well, whose scientists are we talking about?
Yeah.
Yours or mine?
Right.
Terrible way to look
20
at it.
years ago, they were just scientists.
Science
right?
was science.
There was one right answer,
Right.
and the rest of them were wrong.
Yeah.
That's how math works, too, by the way. There's
Yep.
one correct answer. Every other one of them is incorrect.
Consistency directly affects credibility. Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with you there. You kind of lost. Yeah, we've lost that.
Criminal justice system's been eroded because of the injection of politics. Law enforcement's been eroded because of the injection of politics. Politics is like a bad cancer.
Even
It
our
ruins everything it touches.
our military.
Yeah. Oh, our military. Yeah, absolutely. A great example.
Yeah.
I mean, the state that President Trump found our military in was
Disarray.
like Jimmy Carter-esque.
Yeah.
Like a fucking sideshow.
I mean,
freak
Jimmy
freak
Carter
show.
had only just like disarmed our military. The past administration had like demasculated
Yes.
the
100%.
entire armed
That,
forces,
exactly.
right?
Destabilized.
Yeah.
And, yep. 100%. It's bouncing back because I've been a part of it for, 20 years, 21
Yeah,
years
the
now.
recruiting numbers are way up right now, aren't they?
Yes, there's a lot more.
That's good.
There's a lot
That's
more
very
looking.
good.
Well, I mean, as of a year and a half ago, the minimum ASVAB score from my buddy who's still recruiting was a 10. It's out of 99.
Holy shit.
I mean, I don't know
So
how
we
you
weren't getting America's best, is what you were saying?
Oh, God. Dude, there was a time when I was in where you had to get a 50. You had to get a 50 plus.
Just to get in?
Yeah, just to get in. And you could get a waiver at 35, but you were undesignated, no job. And that was Navy, right? But sometimes it'd be like, oh, your ASVAB score is too low, go to the Marines. Yeah. But truly, a 10? I mean, that's wild.
You're barely
It's
able to
totally
breathe.
So
totally unheard of.
they were taking the short bus to school.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
drooling
good-
a little bit.
The side effect of the military now recruiting, is that it's going to be better for law enforcement recruitment because the military is a huge pathway into law enforcement.
I hadn't thought of that. You
Yeah.
get higher quality military individuals, you're going to end up with higher
they're
quality
gonna
individuals in
transition
law
to that.
enforcement.
Yeah.
That's a good point. There is a trickle down effect there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so.
Even more, as the military changes, we're going to go back to actually training towards, because de-escalation, everybody thinks it's like, oh, talking somebody down so you don't have to use force. That's not it at all. Being an imposing physical force is a great de-escalator in and of itself.
It can be very persuasive.
Having the appropriate equipment, being trained in how to use it. So I think the training in the military is going to go back to what it was, where it was do really, really hard shit, train extensively. We're going to invest in our training, and then it's going to be better cops on the outside.
Yep.
Because it's going to be less the DEI training or the sexual assault prevention. Not that I don't think that's important, but I don't think we need to do it 4 times a year in lieu of ground control or
Right. Which my department did 8 hours a year of like jujitsu style stuff, ground control stuff.
year.
But yeah, every quarter we had to do sexual harassment policy
DEI.
training, whatever bullshit. Yeah.
Bar Association's got us doing it. We got to turn in 3 ethic hours every 2 years, and one of them has to be in DEI.
like
Of course it does.
once a year, maybe. Okay, sure. But yeah, you to prioritize the things that are high risk first, like physical confrontations.
High risk, low frequency,
Yes.
man. Like those are the ones where all the liability lines and can
That's
erode the public's trust the fastest.
Right, because things can go sideways so quickly.
Yes, and especially I joke now and say it's all about instant gratification. So it is one of those where our stock can change like it's freaking cryptocurrency, man. We could be really, really good yesterday and really, really poor today based on one incident. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's your SIG P320 moment.
yeah, there we go. Full circle.
We got to wrap it up, dude. You got a hard stop in 2 minutes.
I do.
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
okay.
Sorry about that.
It's been a
boys.
good conversation. Are you going golfing today or what?
No, I'm going to go over to BZ's and
time
go
are you
play.
gonna be there?
I'm going to be there noonish, and then most of the afternoon I'm going to be playing
Okay.
YouTube guy over there and hanging out.
I'm coming by.
All right, great. I'll see you over there.
I'll be there late afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That'd
as
be good.
always, North Idaho Arms at State Line is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Huge.
Go see BZ.
Yes. Man, he'll talk your ear off about Western Washington and coming over to North Idaho. But
Yeah, but
great
he knows
options
the
in there.
industry real well. I'll give you an
Oh, he's a
example. I
stud.
had a question. A soldier called me, had just transferred from Alaska to California, but had taken his suppressors with him. And then he realized, I'm not supposed to be in California
Right.
with it. And I could figure out 2/3 of the equation right away, but there was an FFL component, and I was like, I don't know how the FFL is going to do it. Give me 5 minutes. I call BZ.
Oh,
Call the
yeah.
guy right back. Okay, all right, here's how we're going to do it. Boom, right? Because he knows the industry
an incredible resource.
backwards
Yes,
and forwards.
He's,
So
he's,
that's important.
He's helped out a large, I don't know if I can say, but a large local law enforcement agency get all their stuff dialed in, just has that knowledge. He's
Yeah,
just like
good dude.
going to the freaking encyclopedia and getting that knowledge.
and he
He's
takes
stuff.
time with people. That's what I like.
Yes,
Like we
me
get a
too.
lot of people moving up here, and they're new, but they want to get into firearms. But it's intimidating to go. And there are some gun shops in Coeur d'Alene you go into, they're going to treat you like shit. That you go to BZ, he'll take time with you, he'll talk you through it. He's not going to make you feel like a dumbass.
And that's something that the gun industry really needs to grow up on, because
Yes.
right now we got a huge influx of women in particular.
Yes. Right.
It's a horribly intimidating environment for women to try to
Absolutely.
break into.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got to break down those barriers, because I'm telling you right now, I know we got to go, but you arm all the soccer moms in America, and the Second Amendment debate is done.
And
Yes.
crime
Over.
rates drop.
Crime rates drop,
They're-
and the Second Amendment debate is over.
Yes, and I agree with you. And they're no longer soft targets. The perception is they're not a soft target.
Yep. Well,
like
William Kirk, Washington Gun Law. I suspect many, if not most of our subscribers already subscribe to you. But if
Appreciate
you
it.
don't, check out his channel because it's fantastic information. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Catch you next time.